What is up YouTube, and welcome back to the RiftGuides WildRift video. It is time for the news patch rundown, and it's patch 6.3D. This time we're not late, just 1 day late basically. But yeah, tier list is also coming soon, so don't worry, but there's not many changes in a sense of like meta changes. It's just how people perceive things to happen in a sense of, hey, this champion got nerfed, now it's bad, this champion got buffed, now it's good, but that's not how it goes. So, welcome to patch 6.3D, we are bumping some true damage tunes, sharpening Yuumi's claws, and balancing some champions across the board. Welcome to patch 6.3D, we are still reeling from watching all the excitement and plays during the Wild Round Smash last week. However, we are back with some balance changes across the board. Additionally, everyone's favorite furry feline, YUUMI, is also receiving her rework. With her new sharpened claws, she's ready to pounce on her foes, so let us know what you think. And last but not least, your games can also now be bumping with the latest hits as some of the true damage make their appearance on the Rift. In this patch we have an array of changes. First up is Jace. We are giving him a shock and boosting the sustain and hammer power, helping him nail down his foes in any lane. Gragas is also getting a barrel of buffs, which will allow him to clear waves faster, which honestly is kind of his biggest issue when it comes to laning in general. We're charging up Zeri again, while we're also cooling down Rumble's flame so he doesn't overheat the competition. And last but not least, Shyvana, Viego, Lee Sin, and Lucian are all getting nerfs so they'll have a less burst damage and dominance across the Rift. The YUUMI rework is not coming out until the 27th of November. So we will no longer have the shield, but we have a new passive called Feline Friendship. While attached, YUUMI and her host gain friendship points. Whenever they kill an enemy champion or minion, the ally with the highest friendship becomes her best friend, empowering YUUMI's abilities when attached to them. YUUMI's attacks against enemy champions grant her a permanent shield equal to 35 plus champion level times 10 plus 15% AP with an 18-second cooldown. While adjusted, the shield is transferred to her ally. When YUUMI attacks and abilities hit enemy champions, she heals herself for 25 plus champion level times 7 plus 25%. If YUUMI attaches to an ally within 4 seconds, that ally is also healed. Interesting change. I think is it like PC? I don't know, I have not played it so long. Passive on the Prowling Projectile. New best friend bonus. While attached, Prowling Projectile always slows enemies on hit, and my cat is going crazy like YUUMI. Mini, come here. An enemy champion grants the host 10 to 18 plus 5% bonus damage? Really? While Prowling slows enemy, hitting an enemy champion grants the host bonus damage. Is it on hit? Is it like Ardent? Or what's the deal here? A project stealing that is removed. Okay, the slow is being adjusted, so it says scaling slow to 45%. That's crazy slow. And the power base damage is going up from 70 to 80, and on the highest rank from 270 to 300. The second ability is YUUMI, funnily enough, because it's YUUMI. New best friend bonus. When attached to a best friend, YUUMI gains 4 to 7% plus 0.02 AP, increased healing and shielding power. And a best friend gains 6 to 12 plus 4% bonus healing received. So they no longer gain adaptive force. YUUMI's zoomies, like my cat just had a brief moment ago. Adjusted cooldown from 12 seconds to 9 to 10 at all levels. YUUMI heals herself for 20 to 50 plus 10% scaling and gains 15 plus 3% movement speed and 20 to 35% attacks per 3 seconds. The next 3 attacks that hit an enemy restore 20 to 50 plus 10% AP, and now YUUMI grants herself a shield for 70 to 160 plus 30% AP and gains 20 to 35 plus 0.08 AP and attack speed for 3 seconds. While the shield is active, the target also gains bonus movement speed. So I assume this is all then transferred to the ally, if I'm not mistaken, that she's attached to. Final chapter. Adjusted. Wave Steal 80 to 120 plus 15% AP magic damage to enemies hit. Wave Steal 80 to 120 plus 15% magic damage to enemies hit. And apply 10% slow for 10% to enemies hit. And each additional wave increases the slow by 10%. Okay. Subsequent waves deal 50% damage. Subsequent waves deal 20 to 40 plus 5% AP damage. So it's just a flat conversion rather than the initial damage of the spell. And each wave heals ally champions for 20 to 40, like up to 40 plus 5% AP, and excess healing is converted into shielding. Best friend bonus, the healing is increased to 26 to 52 plus 8% for a best friend. And the enemies will no longer be rooted. So let me quickly recap. Isn't that the patch that actually killed YUUMI on PC? Wasn't this the change that actually just completely headshot the champion? Please let me know in the comments below because I literally can't remember. Chase. Base stats. Health regen from 7.5 to 10 and the lightning field Mercury Hammer restores mana per attack from 8 on level 1 to 12, and highest levels from 20 to 24. The lightning field total damage is an increase from 120 on level 1 to 160, which is a 40 damage buff, and on the highest level it's still the same. So they really want to see this bruiser top lane Jace that just fistfights you. I guess that's the approach they want to go for. This is also an ironically buff for Jace jungle, because if I'm not mistaken, ever since the changes to Jace Q, you would start with W, which means this one helps you out a little bit more clearing wise, and also you're healthier in the sense of clearing due to the accelerated or increased health regen. Also, don't forget for laning Jace, since you're running green main or resolve main, any bit of health regen makes it even more difficult for the enemy to do anything to you. Gragas, Happy Hour, from 8 seconds to 8 to 5 seconds, with this scaling per level. Then we have his Q ability, which receives a 0.5 second cooldown buff, and a damage modifier to minion adjustments from 50% to 80%, which means he can actually clear waves in a better way now, which doesn't force him to always commit his E, I believe. And I think Gragas Q covers the entire wave without having to E in the first place. Also, the bonus damage or the base damage from Drunken Rage is an increase from 50 to 65. So this is obviously Gragas lane buff, but also buffs Gragas jungle, so we have to look out for that one in the future as well. This makes Gragas at least way more playable than he used to be, simply for the fact that he has way better wave clear, which is one of the limiting factors Gragas had to deal with. Zeri. Base damage 54 to 58, anti-spark surge, which is the dash over the wall, sees a decrease in cooldown on the highest level, or rather per level of 0.5, and on the highest level it's 1.5 seconds. So the thing is here, you might believe, yeah, plus 4 base AD is broken. Yes, plus 4 base AD is really good, but the problem is Zeri is just simply not good enough. The thing with this champion is it used to be a conditional pick into shielding, and when we had old BT with the, I think 70 or 75 AD plus old Runans with the increased range, we had so many stats and were basically invulnerable due to how Runans works and why we picked Zeri in the first place, plus the movement speed from the perma shield zapping. Now we don't have any of this, so it's simply not enough. The reasoning for this is, Riot really wanted to make Zeri a blind pickable champion, but to do this they have to overstat her, and this is just step 1. This will not be enough to make Zeri remotely viable compared to any other meta champions, but if we look into like super late game, and the enemy has to play front to back, it's similar to a Sivir in that sense, so it's pretty much annoying to deal with, but she just doesn't have any laning phase. She doesn't have any early game. It's like a worse version of Kai'Sa in that regard. I mean, actually still better than Kai'Sa early game, but yeah, you know what I mean. Rumble, Flame Spitter. Base damage, a decrease from 140 to 120, on the highest level is also a 20. The bonus damage in the danger zone sees a 30 damage decrease. This is obviously a good nerf because Rumble has way too safe, way too easy matchups, can always go defensive boots, and is not forced to do anything. So any nerf in that regard is pretty good. It doesn't make him super weak, but it's definitely something it will hurt him. So like, let's say he used to be S+, now he is still in the same tier as before, but less oppressive. Like there's at least more counterplay availability. But in the end, it doesn't change. Like it doesn't change much about how the champion plays and how his matchups go, because he can simply not play the lane by just spamming his third ability from range and not having to interact at all while going for defensive boots and just scaling. Shyvana. That's a very interesting nerf. The burn-up base damage decreased from 40 to 35, which is 5 on 1 point, and it also remains with 5. And then we see a Dragon Form flame damage over time change from 30 plus champion level times 4 to 25 to champion level times 3. I don't really know why we're nerfing Shyvana. She was in a completely fine spot. She was really good, but not broken. And that's something that's very interesting because we don't see an Aatrox nerf, but we see a Shyvana nerf. So I don't really know what is going on at Riot that we know Shyvana, but I guess in the majority of the games, Shyvana is overperforming. And obviously, since Riot is balancing mostly around the majority of players, rather than the elite players, which obviously makes sense, I guess this is to be expected. But yeah, I don't necessarily agree, but yeah, it's okay. Viego, Blade of the Rune King, his first ability, does that base damage loses 5 damage, and the Heartbreaker AoE damage sees a decrease by 10% of the AD. So this doesn't really do anything. This is placebo. Because when Viego touches you, he just one-shots you in the first place without even having to cast ult. And his ult overkilled you by so much that it barely made any difference. So this is a complete placebo nerf, hoping that Viego's play rate is gonna drop and it is actually not gonna affect the game too much. Lee Sin. Sonic Wave. Sonic Wave damage ratio from 105% AD to 100% AD, anti-resonating strike damage ratio from 105 to 210 bonus AD to 100 and 200% AD. And the Dragon Rage bonus AD damage ratio from his ultimate ability, which is Dragon's Rage, is from 200 to 180. On paper, this looks a lot, but in reality, it just really doesn't. So don't forget, like the current Lee Sin players most of the time play like the weirdest setups that are really bad, and they still just instantly tap you. Now imagine they actually play the real setups and play around Conqueror and just actually just fist fight you with how they're designed to be, and they still one-shot you, and you can't kill them. So again, this is a placebo nerf which doesn't change how the champion functions in the game. It's just about Lee Sin players. The skill floor is not that high when it comes to like the basic execution of Lee Sin, but carrying games with Lee Sin is not the easiest. So it's very curious for me to see if we see a Lee Sin nerf, a Viego nerf, and a Shyvana nerf. When all these, like when two of these champions require at least some kind of ability to play the game, to carry, but it's very interesting to see nonetheless. Lucian, Light Slinger, the passive ability. This is the normal it's not the other passive which like triggers with Milio and YUUMI. Second shot damage sees a decrease from 40 to 35% in the early levels, and then it scales back to the old damage. The first ability sees a 10 that just doesn't do anything. It's completely irrelevant. Like this doesn't change anything with how much Lucian overkills you in the early game. It's complete bait. Like it's complete placebo, hoping to see a drop in play rate, and we don't see a Milio adjustment, we don't see Viego adjustment, we don't see Aatrox adjustment or Aurora adjustment. There's no Nami. Like if there's something you want to do, like also just hit Nami as well as Milio at the same time. But yeah, we don't see it at all. Runon's Hurricane wins Fury. Each bolt is 55, 80 damage to 60. Doesn't really do much. The problem here is again, if you're like on hit 80 carries are basically dead due to how the damage profile and like how the game goes nowadays. And unless you go AP on hit, that's a different story, but then again, you don't really care about the AD you do per hit. If you want to make Runon's really broken again, you have to increase the range and maybe its stats, or you just revert it to making it a crit item. But yeah, it would be too broken if it was a crit item. Like as of right now, crit 80 carries can build Runon's if they want to, but they have to build it as their like last item. That's an option that exists. But other than this, you basically don't see Runan on any other champion than AP on-hit champions like Varus, Kai'Sa, Kayle. I think that's kind of it. No other champion really utilizes the item, I believe, that is AP on-hit. Yeah, I think so. Electrocute. Why are we nerfing Electrocute? Doesn't really make sense. Didn't really see that as a problem, but it just incentivizes people to go for other runes, I guess. Healing from Fleet Footwork when hitting minions or monsters from 60 to 35 to 20 to 15 for ranged here. So this is something that is, I suppose, also that is dealing with jungle, but okay. So Riot actually, like, this appears like Riot believes that Fleet Footwork's reason to be taken is the healing, when the healing is just a side effect. The main effect of why people take Fleet is the auto attack, because it simply functions as an auto attack reset due to how much attack speed you gain. And that's the reason why people take it, like Aatrox in the jungle, Echo in mid lane. It's just the auto attack reset of the faster executed auto attack. Healing is just secondary. So I guess this is to like at least tackle one portion of why it's being used and why it's so good, or to incentivize people to take something else. Dark Harvest, base damage from 50 to 40. I don't understand why. Dark Harvest really isn't a rune that's good. Dark Harvest is a rune that if you're winning, it feels good to have, you know? Like, if you're already winning, it gets better and better and better and better. But if you're not winning, it doesn't really help you win. That's like the idea. Empowered attack, range champions did 80% damage. That's an interesting nerf. So we are nerfing Red Tree. For what? Well, huh? Scorch 20. Okay, so Scorch is an early game rune. Complete early game. Why are we shifting damage to late game? I don't understand. Like, what they're doing is they're basically making early game runes less good in early game, and they're already useless in late game. So you're basically incentivized to just not go early game anymore, which makes no sense. It just makes no sense. I don't understand why. Game mode changes is something you can read on your own. I'll just quickly go by. You can press pause if you want to. Something that doesn't really affect me as a person, but I want to show it to you obviously because it's part of how it goes here. And for the skins, we have True Damage Akali dropped on the 21st of November, True Damage Yasuo also on the 21st of November, and True Damage Echo. And that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and come back for more content. Till soon. Bye bye.